Hello and welcome to Direct Talk on Tigray Television. Today we're joined by Yemane Zeray, who is a commissioner at Commission of Inquiry on Tigray Genocide. Today we'll be talking about various issues. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Commissioner, in your interview in March, you mentioned that your commission was mandated to collect data, evidences of atrocities committed in Tigray, and that you expected the commission will finalize a report by June of 2020. How far along is your commission in this work, and when we can expect this much anticipated report?
Okay, thank you. Our methodologies are of a diversified type, but we mainly relied on a comprehensive type of covering the assessment and covering the issues. We try to cover the whole Tigray, the 84 waradas that are under the Tigray government, and all the localities that we have. And by doing that, we have used a census method of covering all the families which reside in these 84 waradas, covering about 1.6 million families and 1.4 million women above 15 years age, which are eligible for the interviews and for assessments. And we started also investigations of thousands of cases in different issues on human atrocities, issues on sexual gender-based violences, issues on heritage damage, and issues on environmental damage. Secondly, we also are making initial assessments, both public, private, and governmental ones, which are of hundreds of thousands to cover from regional up to the localities. By doing that, we are having millions of data covering the whole of Tigray. So by making an assessment of house to house, that means we are also dealing with all Tigrayans residing in Tigray, and the selected 1,000 cases of atrocities to be covered by the investigation. But we are left with finalizing these things and also in organizing and analyzing this. As I have said, the commission is established to serve for 2 years and to do a comprehensive type of inquiry. And a comprehensive type of inquiry also needs to have an advanced level of investigation, both for the human atrocities and the other environmental and heritage atrocities that we need. And it is in the next year that we expect to do such advanced levels of investigations. But still, we are progressing well in going in millions of houses and having millions of data. And in the coming 2 months, we will try to finalize the first level, preliminary organizing and analyzing level, and have the preliminary report that tries to cover the whole issues that can show the essential part of the damage that the Tigrayan people and Tigray have had by the war and the warring parties. As we all know, the war on Tigray is followed by the crimes committed on Tigray, which are of international nature, and they are international crimes. International crimes to be expressed as part of genocide, to be expressed as part of war crime, as part of crime against humanity, and crime of aggression. Such international crimes, which with all their elements, with all their dimensions, the dimensions in human atrocities, the dimensions in the economic damage, the gender-based violence, the damage on infrastructure, the damage on values and services, whether they are governmental, public, private, and cultural services like religion, the damage on heritage, and damage on environment, our soil, our water, our forests, and so on. are damaged, and to cover these things, you need to have a comprehensive a methodology which can comprehensively touch these things. So we cannot do these things in a few months. To do these things, you need to have a time which is necessary to do that. You need to have a methodology to do that, and you need to have the persons, the professionals which can do that. We are investigating these cases. We are researching these cases following international standards, basically UN standard, and we have selected professionals to guide this investigation. Even the data collectors are diploma holders and above, which are working all over Tigray. We have involved the four universities we have in Tigray, and other research centers and other institutions mandated in relation to research and scientific activities. By doing this, we believe that we can grasp the truth, we can know what really has happened in Tigray, what really is existing in Tigray, both during the direct war of occupation and also during the time that we are living now in the siege and encirclement-based genocidal systematic war that we are having. So we are not only assessing damage, we are also seeing losses followed by the damage and the indirect costs that the people is paying, the institutions are paying, the government is paying in this regards. So the dimensions that we are covering, the geographic coverage is full. There is no place which is not to be covered by our assessment. All institutions, whether regardless of their ownership, whether they are private or not, whether they are of Tigrayans or not, all individuals which reside in Tigray are to be covered by our assessment. The law, the proclamations that is established us also mandate us to cover damage and losses which are incurred by Tigrayans residing outside of Tigray, whether they are in Ethiopia or others, as a result of this systematic war, which is genocidal and which has some historic root in Ethiopia, especially the genocidal activities, the systematic crimes has begun before 5 years ago in Ethiopia, which later on was strengthened by capture of the state power by the current regime in Ethiopia. But we believe that it is not only the Ethiopian government which has involved in these cases. The case in Tigray is complicated because the geographic coverage is so vast. It covers the whole Tigray. It's not one corner that is to be seen. The issues, as I have said, are complicated. The whole life of the people, including its nature, involves here, and the actors involved are multiple ones, multiple actors, governmental actors, non-governmental actors, actors in Ethiopia, actors outside of Ethiopia, actors in the Horn, and actors outside of the Horn. So such involvement of multiple actors and the actions followed this will make the case a complicated one, and because of that the investigation on Tigray needs a special attention and a special methodology to follow, and we are trying our best level to follow these things, and to do that we have tried to involve high level professionals that we get in Tigray, and as much as possible to trying to consult professionals outside of Tigray, though it is a very difficult one because we know that we are encirclement in a problem of having no connection, internet connection, no connection in telecommunication, and even a very difficult one to move from one place to others because of lack of transport and fuel. But as much as possible.
If I may stop you there. Yeah, like you've said, there is an ability to move from place to place because of the shortage of fuel. But how were you able to cover such a number of houses? I was about to ask you that.
Good question.
Before I move to
a good question. We, as a commission and in consultation to the different institutions that we have decided to involve universities which are luckily enough in all the zones that we have. Mekelle University is at center to cover Mekelle zone and southeastern zone surrounding Mekelle. Raya University will cover the southern zone. Tigray University, the eastern zone. Aksum University, the central zone, and Aksum University Shire campus will cover the northern, northwestern zone. By doing that, we collected data. We selected data collectors from the districts themselves, but fulfilling the requirements that we put diploma and above. We know that in the old good times, Tigray was able to teach or to have millions of students, and we try to use that as an opportunity. So the data collectors are from their localities, from their districts. They don't need to move from one place to the other. So still in following the day-to-day activity, there will be a difficulty. At least we managed to at least move from one place to the other for training purposes and for supervision, and also for bringing the already collected data from them. Otherwise, doing that from a center was a very difficult thing, and still it is a very difficult thing. This is why it is taking us some time outside of our plan. But we came to understand that the people believe that genocide has happened on it, genocidal war has happened to it, but believing is not enough by itself. We have to study it scientifically. We have to prove it scientifically, first for ourselves, to know the truth, to know what really has happened. So that is what we have done. And the commitment from the data collectors, the commitment from the institutions that we have was the driving force, not the fuel, not the finance, not the logistics that we have.
As you know, the UN Human Rights Council established an international commission to investigate atrocities in Ethiopia in December of last year. It's been revealed that the government of Tigray held talks with the commission recently. Were you involved in the discussion? And can you tell us a little bit about the important points during the meeting?
As we all know, and as I have said earlier, the atrocities in Tigray are of international nature. They are international atrocities, international crimes. Because they are international crimes, they have violated both international humanitarian laws and international humanitarian laws. If they are international crimes, if they are violating these international laws, that means the crimes are a concern of the international community too. They are not only a concern of the Tigrayan people. So the Tigrayan people we are victims, and will be more concerned. We are not victim in the part. We are still continuing in living in these atrocious actions. The international community has a responsibility to act on these things, and it has been less than 3 decades that the responsibility to protect people from such international crimes has been passed by UN resolution. And such international humanitarian laws and international human rights laws are meant to be free from issues of sovereignty. That means any state, any government which is dictatorial, in the name of sovereignty, cannot perform these things, cannot continue to perform these things. That means the international community has the responsibility to intervene, first, to curtail the continuation of these atrocious crimes. Second, to make corrections on them, to bring justice to the victims, and also to intervene on the healing processes, and to bring justice the perpetrators. So the establishment of this commission is expected to follow these things, to follow the international principles of investigation. And the Tigray government, in its different declarations, the different statements, was continuously expressing this. And in the meeting, the president has clearly put those standards that we are ready to allow, not only to allow, but to fully cooperate with the UN-based commission. We are working by our commission to have the truth, not less, not more, to know what has really happened and what really is happening. And we expect the commission to come here to make a full and comprehensive assessment and investigation. The government of Tigray has clearly opposed the remotely done investigation. Such complicated crimes cannot be remotely done. Such complicated crimes cannot be done by samples, very few samples. Pilot study of investigation for Tigray cannot work because it is the whole Tigray, the whole Tigrayans, all institutions, whether they are Tigrayans or not, has suffered these things. We have FDI, we have had FDI in Tigray, institutions, investments owned by foreigners. They are all distracted. We have a lot of projects funded by foreigners or foreign fund. They are all distracted. We know the Millennium Development Goal was in a good status in Tigray. All the projects which were being handled well are distracted. So it is not only Tigray. All the global inputs, all the global assets that we have had in Tigray are distracted. So the coming of this commission is very nice, but if it is established to inquire and investigate this case, it should be in its fullest form, not partially. And the commission is not allowed to come to Tigray, and that is wrong. Why does the Ethiopian government forbid the commission to come here? Either it has a fear not to reveal, not to get the facts to be revealed, or it is using the so-called concept of sovereignty to oppress and to finish its people, which is against the conventions, the principles that we have in this modern 21st century. And the Tigray government has clearly put its stand on these things. Secondly, based on scientific ways, we have argued that evidences are collected in three ways: physical evidences, testimonial evidences, documentary evidences. Physical evidences are the most objective one, especially on the Tigray case. Testimonial evidences, testimonies by victims, witnesses, professionals like physicians, religious elders, are the most relevant ones. Documents can also serve, but documents of whom? Documents of which institutions? Millions of institutions. We cannot send these documents even to the commission afar from here. We don't have the capacity to do that because of the blockage. Even if we have the internet connection and other means, all the million documents, not only videos and cameras, photos or papers, we have a lot of samples, big samples of artilleries, soils poisoned by different chemicals and other things. How can they get that? So they have to come here, see what really has happened, see the feeling of the people, because the people still is suffering by the siege and encirclement-based genocidal actions of the different actors that we are mentioning. Still there are territories in western, northwest and central and eastern part of Tigray occupied by enemy forces. The enemies are still continuing their crimes, and they are trying to destroy evidences even in western part of Tigray. They are burning corpses. So such concerns are raised, and the government of Tigray has called upon the commission to do its activities based on the principles of promptness, independency, impartiality, and quality-based ones. Otherwise, it has also assured the commission that the government and its commission of inquiry on Tigray genocide, is ready to cooperate for everything that they want. If they come here, it will be so fine. If not, we can easily provide them what we have at hand.
Portal created by the International Investigative Team for the collection of evidence and reports of atrocities on the war on Tigray just closed this week. So if the commission is not granted access into Tigray, is this the only other way it can conduct an investigation?
Until now, they have revealed only these methods of interviewing from afar through different mechanisms, very few ones, and also through this port. For us, it is a very wrong way. In Tigray, calling to report using such port and internet is a very wrong decision, because in Tigray we don't have an internet. We don't have the communication to make the people know these things. And even the port is in English. And how can the local people do that? So in general, it is an insult to the people which have suffered and which are suffering. We cannot do that. As I have said, the situation in Tigray is a very different one, a very special one. Such methodology may have worked in some other areas with a single unit kind of crime. Now we have multiples of crimes committed by multiples of actors on all corners of the region and on all dimensions of our life. And we cannot report these things, even if we have such internet all over Tigray. We cannot do those things. We cannot, they cannot feel what we are living in these days. They have to physically observe. The most objective one is physical one. We cannot testify with all that we have in such methods. And we cannot send the documents that we have in such methods. Aeroplanes and cars may not even carry the evidences that we can have. The evidences, even the commission is not bringing all of it at the center that we are collecting in the districts that we have, in the universities that we have. So this is one point that we have clearly disagreed, and we have clearly declared and told the commissioners in a very clear and open way.
So the International Commission's mandate requires it to take note of the joint investigation by Ethiopia's state-appointed Human Rights Commission and the Higher Commission of Human Rights. Keeping this in mind, do you even think that it's possible for the Commission to conduct a credible investigation again?
Until now, we doesn't lose hope on the new commission that is established by the UN. We have to see how they are to continue their activities. We have to see the detailed action plans. Actually, they need an extension of time. Otherwise, they cannot finish their activities as planned on September. I have said that this is not a kind of investigation which is to be done on sample ways, as a pilot study, or in one corner. This needs a very comprehensive investigation with full energy and ample time. So, if it is to make that investigation in the necessary time that it needs, the necessary time that it actually requires, and if it is to make that investigation through a very clear term of reference and a very clear action plan, it may do its activities openly, independently, and in a right way. If it is to contact the right victims, the right actors concerned, and the right witnesses, it can do its investigation in a right way. Otherwise, it will fail, as the joint investigation team has failed. And the reference of the joint investigation team in its TOR is a very concern even for us. But we have clearly put our concerns on these issues, and I'm sure the commissioners and the expertise, which we believe are professionals, which we believe stands for the truth and for the facts and for scientifically done methodologies, will correct that.
Okay. And of course, finally, judging from your meeting with the investigative team, are you convinced that the investigative team is committed to taking on credible investigation that can hold perpetrators accountable?
There are concerns because this commission has had, I think, more than 8 months in office, and it hasn't done a comprehensive investigation, and it is left with only 1 month. This is a very concerned one. But if there is an extension, and if it is to have a report considering its limitations, it can have a good report or a good result. But still, there are concerns, and our commission, with our government and people, are highly concerned on the time and the methodologies that they are following. And with that, we require the international community to be serious on the Tigray issue. The Tigray issue is an international issue. An international issue in that it is a crime against humanity, a crime which is war crime, and most importantly, a genocidal one. Genocidal one to bring the end of a people at one corner of the world, which is impossible, which still will disturb not only the region, but the globe as a whole. One entity which is allowed to commit such a crime here will be scaled up to the other part of the world. That means it is to allow other parts of the world to do the same. And we are currently seeing the impact of the war on Tigray in the Horn. What has happened in Somalia, in Al-Shabaab, what is happening in other parts of Ethiopia, in others, is the result of, as commentators are clearly stating, is the result of this war. So the international community should be very serious, and the siege and the encirclement as an instrument of genocide should be curtailed. The international community should push for full and comprehensive inquiry, or should help us to assess the damage that we incur technologically, logistically, or financially. We are trying our best here to make the assessment with so many limitations. If the international community is committed to know the fact in its full form, we need to have advanced form of investigations. We'll try our best level to do that, but we need technical, logistical, and financial support from the international community. If not, the people will mobilize again its resources, its time, its power to do that. There are already known damage on human, social-based, gender-based violence, which are in hundreds of thousands, which are flooding in different areas to the health institutions, and there is a need of intervention, humanitarian intervention for them at least for the sexually gender-based violence victims. There is an intervention, a clear need of intervention. So there is a need of intervention for rapid rehabilitation and reconstruction activities for that matter. From the people in Ethiopia, we expect them to oppose the continuation of this genocidal war, because this is against a crime against the people, and a people here which is in damage cannot benefit others. It will continue to influence the others negatively, and the Tigray people is trying to fight back and to be free from such encirclements, such a war, and we are trying also parallelly to study what we have incurred, and the diaspora is trying to fight in 3 ways. politically, financially, for its family, for the people which are in problem, which are lacking medicine, which are lacking food, but still in a very difficult way. And still we expect the diaspora also to organize itself and try its level best to support us, to assist us in technological, professional, and financial ways, which may need high-level technical and technological instruments like satellite images, audiovisuals from international institutions, and others.
Thank you very much for talking to us here. Yemane Zeray, Commissioner at Commission of Inquiry on Tigray Genocide. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your analysis.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That's it for this edition on Direct Talk. Until next time, bye for now.